This is for Year 11 methods. It comes out of 3H question 3, the quadratic formula. Okay, for each of the following, solve for x. So I need x equals, and I'm going to give exact answers. And since I've got some decimals here, I'm going to be using my class pad. Okay, I need it in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, so I need to move the 1 over. So 5x squared minus 10x minus 1 equals 0. So a equals 5, b equals negative 10, and c equals negative 1. Therefore x equals minus b, so 10 plus or minus the square root of negative 10 squared minus 4 times 5 times minus 1, all over 10. So it's going to be 10 plus or minus the square root of 100 plus 20 all over 10, which will be 120. The square root of 120 will be 4 times 30. So 4 times 30, so 2 root 30. So I'm going to have 10 plus or minus 2 root 30 all over 10. I'm going to divide everything by 2, so 5 plus or minus root 30 over 5 will be my two answers for x. In the second case, I have negative 0.6x squared minus 1.3x minus 0.1 equals 0. If I was to multiply everything by 10, that would give me negative 6x squared minus 13x minus 1 equals 0. And a equals negative 6, b equals negative 13, and c equals negative 1. Which means x will equal 13 plus or minus the square root of negative 13 squared is 169 minus 4 times 6 times negative 1. Minus, it will be a minus times a minus times a minus. Minus 4 times negative 6 times negative 1 will stay negative. Minus 24 all over negative 12. 169 minus 24 is 145. Does 9 go into 145? No. So 9 doesn't, 4 doesn't, 25 doesn't, 36 doesn't. So I'm going to say I've got 13 plus or minus the square root of 145 all on top of 12, and I'm going to make that minus 13. And in the third instance, a equals 2, 1 minus k, b equals minus 4k, and c equals k. Therefore x is going to equal minus 4k, so 4k plus or minus the square root of minus 4k all squared is 16k squared, and it's positive. Minus 4 times 2 times 1 minus k times k all over 2a, which is 4, 1 minus k. Now I'm going to bring up my class pad and see if I can help with those. If I was to confirm with the quadratic formula, I would have fraction 10 plus or minus, I'll just do the plus, square root of negative 10 squared minus 4 times 5 times negative 1 all over 10. And that gives me an answer of 2 root 30 plus 10 over 10 plus or minus, which is exactly what we got. Since I've got my calculator though, I don't even need to use the quadratic formula. I can type the actual equation and I can solve it for x. And there's the same answer. Now obviously that has been simplified. They've taken out common factors. So it's the same answer. So if I was to do the same thing for the second question, if I wanted to use the quadratic formula, I could do the quadratic formula and I would get x equals, so if I bring up fraction, minus b, so 1.3 plus or minus, well, I'll just do plus on my calculator, square root. I'm going to have minus 1.3 squared minus 4 times a, which is negative 6, negative 0.6, and c, which is negative 0.1. all over 2a, which is 2 times negative 0.6. That gives me that expression, and if I want to simplify that expression, there it is, the same as what I've got there, 120. If we go up here and explore, that wasn't 0.6, and it should be negative. That gives me that expression, and that expression, if I simplify, gives me this, which is exactly what I got there. And if I was just to type the original equation in the first place, negative 0.6 x squared minus 1.3x equals 0.1, I would just type that exactly, interactive advanced solve for x, okay. No, that's because that's x raised to the power of 2 minus 1.3x. Too many x's, and there's the same answer. And if I was to do the third example using my calculator, as you can see, I can use the quadratic formula or I can jump straight to the answer. And let's see, if I use the quadratic formula, what happens? I have my fraction, minus b, so minus this. So I've got minus 4k, so 4k, plus or minus, I'll just use plus, the square root of 4k squared, which will be 16k squared, minus 4 times a, which is 2 bracket 1 minus k. So I'll put in some brackets, and inside the brackets I'll put 2 open bracket 1 minus k, close that bracket. So that's 4 minus 4 times a times c, and c is k. And all that's over 2a, which is 4 bracket 1 minus k, close bracket. Execute gives me that expression. If I take that expression and simplify it, that gives me that expression. If I was just to type the original equation in the first place, I would end up with 2 bracket 1 minus k, close bracket, x squared, minus 4kx plus k. I can type 0, but if it's equal to 0, if you don't type equals to 0, it assumes it's equals to 0. And this is the same as that. the 2 times the 3 gives 6k, the 2 times the minus k gives minus 2k. So it's identical for the same answer.